Okay.
So not key, use camera, stream key. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
All right, so we're live on YouTube.
Cool.
I'm about to copy this link.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to send it to your text messages.
Mm-hmm. So when they click on that link, they'll be able to go straight.
Man, and like I've said in other videos, man, um, like Joe Budden said, bro, he was like, man, people doing podcasts now are like really, you know what I'm saying, reactionary or whatever. But man, when you learn it and stuff like that, you realize like how smooth it can be and then how crazy it can be too.
Factual.
Yeah, man.
Man, one of my friends, he was telling me that he record everything with a Cat 5 cable, man. And he was saying he can
Wow.
send like, yeah, I was like, he went into detail and stuff, but man, it's crazy, man, where audio and technology and stuff is going. Um, he was saying that eliminates the need to, when you go somewhere, you got to snake everything and run all the mics.
Yeah.
He said you run a Cat 5, you can get up to like, I think he said 64 channels. Man, it's crazy. But he learned that working, like at ESPN, what I was telling you about.
Yeah, earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. So he picked up on that. But yeah, man, I keep hearing you talk about this iRig, man. What's the deal with that, man? I haven't heard of that.
Okay, bet. We going okay, all right, bet. And you know what? I'm glad that you actually said that because that
Yeah, I ain't heard
actually
of
give
iRig.
us something more to actually talk about in depth. What's up?
Mm-hmm.
No, sir. No, sir.
Let me see this.
No, sir. I love you. Let me do it after I get done, okay? I don't want you to play the fight game. I don't want you to buy nothing that you're not supposed to. Yes, City Fighter, bro.
I'm dropping these that link and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? And this right here, just letting folks feel in the room. You know what I'm saying? See what's going on. Share these links. I'm getting these questions up.
What were you saying about the iRig?
So yeah, when we get into the question,
Okay.
what I was saying was it's crazy that because iRigs have been out for a minute, but I don't think a lot of people have like really tapped in or even like know about them for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? Because even on my last interview with Aaron Smith, he was like, "Bro, I got an iRig, but it's still in the box."
Yeah,
So
I heard him say that.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah. So
what is it? Is it like an interface or like what is
yeah,
it?
interface for like your phone, bro, or anything. Like, cause I'm using it right now for my computer.
You can put it on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've never heard of it. So you live in Alabama?
Yep.
Word, okay. That's what's up. Oh, shit. Let's see.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna try to get this Facebook up one more time. Just because, or yeah, just because. Let's see. Control or Command T, Facebook. Oh, really, baby?
Man, I'm gonna talk about this later on, but Instagram's so different, man. I'm telling you, dude.
Bro, because I looked at your followers and I was like, okay, bet he's pushing 40K. And but I even in my own uh you know what I'm saying, lapse of it, um of like being consistent, I saw the change. I saw the change, like, and not just in like the music community, man. I just saw the change in the algorithm as a whole. What's up, baby?
The Matrix, man.
And you said the Matrix?
Oh my God, dude. Man, somebody got fired for whatever reason, and then they brought in this new guy that actually knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And remapped all of Instagram, man, and just took that to another level, man. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
now
So.
it's, I mean, now it's like what you have to do, you know, because they got reels in there, so they got TikTok going. And
Mm-hmm.
reels is like really where it's at as far as like getting on the explore page.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but it's like for me, the reason why I was so successful with Instagram at that time was because of my niche. Like I stuck within that
Yeah.
the drummer niche, which it still exists. I mean, obviously it's crazy now; it's like huge.
Yeah.
But you know, back then, you know, it's pretty much like now you competing with people that's just doing stuff for attention. They doing dances, they twerking. Yeah, you can't really compete with. I mean, you talking about ass versus.
Yeah, bro, versus like drumsticks, bro. And like how really how can we, because I mean, because after we're done posting that content, we're there looking at it too. Let me go do this and I'll be right back. Be right back.
Facts, yo. So it's like, man, it's like you can't, you know, it's hard to compete with the IG models, man. Let me text man, I'm texting everybody. I don't know if he landed safely. Let me text my bro. Uh,
All right, fam.
where? Man,
We in the building. We got three folks watching. We about to get this started. Appreciate that comment. Ace 24/7. Three
Oh,
fire in the chat.
Ace
Fire, fire, fire.
24/7, man. What's good, bro? What's up, man?
Cool.
That's
So
my buddy, man. We be on the sticks, man. We
okay.
play, and I'll be busting his ass on 2K.
Okay, bet.
Nah.
All right, cool. So we about to get this thing started, y'all. What's going on, y'all? CrestedWIZ, Black Collar King, bro. I'm here with J Willliams drums, bro. I appreciate you being here, my brother. Let the people know who you are, man, for those who don't know.
Yeah, J Williams Strauss, man. That's the hashtag. That's my IG. If you type in at J Williams, or if you just type J Williams drums, I'll come up. You'll see my Instagram. Professional musician, play drums, play for a lot of different people, artists, bands, and stuff like that. So happy to be here, man.
Hey, bro, I appreciate you, man, for real, bro, taking the time to, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't, you know, I've been following you for a while, man, but like, you know what I'm saying? This is the first time we've actually like had a conversation together, man, and I appreciate you, bro, you know what I'm saying, being so open and so willing, man, to answer these questions for me, man, that I got, bro, you know what I'm saying, bro? I appreciate the content that you post, bro, for real, especially for a drummer like me that stays in a place where I can't make too much noise, you know what I'm saying? So like the electronic kit and to see you moving, Chelsea Cheese moving. He moving hard on Instagram, and he's rocking the DTX Yamaha kit. You
Nice.
know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know what type of plug-in sounds he used, but the sounds he used is great. Mix that he used is great. And he got something coming out, man. Go follow him at Chelsea Cheese, man. Like, but dude, I appreciate you again, bro. So, man, we're about to get this started, man. If you haven't already, man, go ahead, follow me, Black Collar King, at Instagram, BlackCollar King. Michael Athe on Facebook, MICHAEL hit the cash apps up, BLKCLL45. That's the same with Venmo as well. Just use the cash tag or the app at the persistent apps. You know what I'm saying? PayPal.me, Michael Athe. You know what I'm saying? We're about to get this popping, man. So, for those who don't know, brother, where are you from?
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, man. Born and raised. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So pretty much like Nashville is like, of course, there's some good parts, bad parts. But if you grew up in Nashville, it's kind of like with anything, man. You kind of grow up all over town. Like you start off on the north side, then you might move to the east side, then you might go to the south side. So, growing up, it was definitely like I always tried to be like well rounded and like try to, not necessarily fit in, but adapt to each situation. So that would follow me, later on in my career.
Man, that's what's up, bro. Are you still in Nashville right now?
Nah, man. Listen, man. Right now I'm in witness protection, so I can't disclose the location. Nah, just nah,
Bro.
man. I'm up here in I'm up north, man. I'm in Connecticut, man. I live in Connecticut right now.
Nice.
So I'm kind of centrally located. You got Boston right there. You got New York. So it's kind of cool. I can still like try to network. It's tough right now, obviously, but I'm in a decent spot to get it popping too.
Man, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. So, how long have you been playing drums?
Um, I like to count my professional career as the length of time I've been playing drums. I say at least 10 years, 10, 11 years. Um, my first gig was actually like my first professional gig was with an 80s tribute band called Zero Echo. So I should have sent you I should have sent you a picture of that so you could share it on the screen. But
Yeah, yeah. Do I need to start sharing the pictures now?
no, I don't have it. I don't have that picture
Okay,
because I
all right,
would have.
bet. Let me know when you want me to screen
I
share, bro.
got you. I got you. Yeah, that man, that picture, like that, the documentation from that is really on MySpace, because that's how long ago it was, So
Wow.
I would have had to, figure out my password, and it would have been bad. But man, that was my first professional gig, man. It was an 80s tribute band, and we were traveling all over, different places, playing casinos, and that's really where I got that was my first professional gig. So I count from that moment until now as my professional career. So, but I've been playing since I was 6. I've
Okay,
been playing.
that's
I've been
what's
playing
up.
since.
And I like how you phrase that your professional career, because like I can I because I've been playing and I started late. I've been playing since I was like 12. Like I got like in one interview I was talking about it. My dad got me drumline when I was like 11 or something like that on bootleg VHS, And like a week later, I asked my mom for some sticks and a drum pad. And so then maybe like a year later, something like that, and that's when I touched the drum set for the first time. I was like,
Oh
man, I
wow!
want it. So then, like a year after that, I got my first check for it, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't care about school anymore.
Wow!
Like like I was just like, bro, $100 a month to a middle schooler. You know what I'm saying? That's you balling.
Absolutely,
You
yo,
know?
absolutely, man.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I could I guess spread mine out into like I guess the first time I got an apartment, because I remember I was saving up money through drums in order to get originally a Mac, but like in my first marriage I got my first apartment, so I started living off of that like 2012. So that's when I really started living off of music. And then I'm here now, you know what I'm saying? So I
Wow.
appreciate that. I appreciate how you answered that question.
Yeah, man, you gotta put it in perspective. You gotta look at it like, I started realistically. I got my first drum set when I was 6 years old.
Hmm.
From that moment, it was going through the ranks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna let you keep going because I don't want to,
Oh no, bro, this all about you, brother. This all
yeah.
about you, man. Well, with that being said, man, what bands have you been playing for?
Also, the bands like that I play for now, I still collaborate with this guy named Justin Kalk.
Hmm.
We went out to LA like last year, and we recorded a record. Man, we was able to work out the details and use the Foo Fighters studio. So it was like all exclusive, man. It was like um, if you go like if you share the screen, man, I could
Okay,
pull up.
cool.
I got some pictures. I got some pictures that you can kind of go to see the setup or whatever. But man, it was that was actually the second time that we recorded a live album. The first time was at Blackbird Studios in Nashville, and that was one of the not that one. It's probably if you close that, let me see.
Because it's labeled 1 through 15.
So I think pick 13. If you open up pick 13,
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so that's at the Foo Fighter studio. That's Justin Kalk right there. Man, that record was crazy, man. That was the second time we did it. So the format, the first time was kind of like we had already been playing live. So like with bands, you kind of know how it works. Like if you've been playing songs live or whatever, you say, okay, now I want to record a song. Like, all right, we're gonna either play it, how we do it live, or we might make a few changes here and there.
Right.
With this particular project, as we recorded it as we were performing it, but he made a few tweaks. The tweaks that he made, we really didn't like. They were kind of new to us,
Hmm.
so I felt like they held us back in the first recording a little bit because we all were kind of like, we came in thinking, okay, we're gonna play it like we do a live show, and then it changed a little bit, which makes sense because when you think about pitching songs for the radio, stuff like that, like you definitely want to, it's got to be more structured. It's got to be on the click track. And
Hmm.
sometimes as a band, man, a lot of times, like, a lot of those songs you don't really play to a click track because bands, like I was playing like rock and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it was a little different. But that particular picture, when we went to LA, a year or so ago, um, he sent all the stems, everything in advance. Everything was dialed in. So it's just like we weren't together because I was already in Connecticut. But it's one of those things where I went in and you got to do your homework. So you listen to the records, you learn the records, and then we went out there. Of course, it ain't no practice time. It's like you dialing it in. It's time to
Yeah.
go, and that's what we did. I think we did like 10, 12 songs in like 2 days. So it
Woo.
was crazy.
Like completely full
Yeah.
songs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, in those situations, as you know, as a recording musician, when you go, like what I learned over the years is when you go to these big studios, depending on the situation, because it doesn't really matter now, big or small, but
Yeah.
when you go to these studios, like the the most important reason why they're there is to get the drum, like they got a good drum room because you can get
Yeah.
good vocals and stuff. You can get that just about anywhere.
Hmm.
Getting good drums, like you're not gonna get that, you
Just
know.
anywhere.
Yeah, so they're usually shooting for the drum take. Like, so if I'm solid in my approach and I knock it out, then that's like the blueprint for everything else. Like you can do overdubs and stuff later.
Right. 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 Most definitely, man. Most definitely. That's what's up, man. So, yeah. What? So, how long? I guess did it take you from like being six and stuff like that? And I kind of want to go a little bit back, right? So,
Gotcha.
you ever been in church, right? Kind of sort of going to my next question, right? So, how long? And then how many churches did you play for between the time you first started playing, and then you were like, hey, I can go out and play outside of church and start playing for these people. Now you're doing live shows. Now, hey, I'm doing recording. So what was all of that like, and how many, uh, if any, still now churches do you play for?
Man, that was a heck of a transition. From where I started to where I ended up. When I started at six, it was kind of like when you're young, you just want to play drums, and that's something that I naturally gravitated towards. But because I was so young, and I'm 32 now, so back then it was like a different day and age. It wasn't YouTube and everything wasn't accessible, so it was like, yeah, I play drums, but it wasn't like I wasn't thinking I could make a career out of it or anything like that. It was just like a luxury to be able to play. So me and my brother he plays keys. or whatnot. So my mom, she invested in us early. You know, she got him an organ or whatever, and then I had a drum set by the time I turned 6. But at that time, we was going to a church, a Baptist church, and you know, they had a head drummer, man. So it wasn't like I was, you know, gonna get some actual playing time. So unless it was after service or like, you know, so from there, one of the like milestones that happened was switching over to Kojic, so Church of God in Christ. When we switched over, my mom was just like, because my mom was from Milwaukee or whatever. She was like, you know, like, you know, Baptist is cool. I like the pastor, but like I'm raised in Pentecostal. So when we switched over, you know, I was like kind of 12, like around your age when you started. So it was just like a whole world. I'm like, man, they playing shout music, you know, and it's like, you know, I got to readjust because, you know, that's not the type of, you know, music we was playing. So it took a while too. Even once I started playing in Kojic, like, you know, I went from gradually only playing Sunday nights to, you know, eventually playing Sunday mornings or whatever. And it's always like a drummer in the way that you got to figure out how you going to get demoted. So, you know, I had a guy, um, it's funny, on Sundays, I would ask him, I'd be like, hey man, you feel like playing today? Like, do you really want to play? Or or I'd be like, hey man, would you mind if I play? And then he would always say, man, nah, man, you don't you play on Sunday nights? And it always would be when we had visitors and stuff like that. Like he would say
Right,
stuff like that.
right.
So I kind of took the back seat, and I got so used to taking the back seat where I'm like, okay, like now I took it as a challenge. Like, okay, we're gonna see how long. And long story short, he ended up playing guitar, and I was on drums, and my brother was you know playing in church. So that's kind of how I usually rank. But another milestone that happened for me was a ex girlfriend that I had, a girlfriend that I had at the time. I invited her to church, and she was like, after service, she was like, "Man, like you really good. Like you really could like play drums like professionally." And that really like light bulb, because I had never prior to that time ever thought about playing any type of, you know, professional anything. Because you get compliments in church, you know, and the members and stuff, but for somebody to come up to you and be like, hey man, you could be a professional drummer, like that really changed the game.
And that's crazy
Yeah.
for a girl to come and tell you that.
Man.
So
Yeah.
so what happened? Okay, I'm glad you said that, because the thing is, she was just someone that I guess eventually, before she became your girlfriend, she was
Mhm.
obviously pulling up at the church quite often.
It's funny how you said that. Nah, man. No, she wasn't actually. Completely different lifestyle. I think at the time she was a bartender or whatnot. Um, Completely different lifestyle. So I didn't, but you know, they always say, you know, plant a seed and when they grow and all that, like the scripture or whatnot. But she actually grew up in a church that was kind of small. So when I invited her to my church that was also small, it kind of reminded her of her old church, which I didn't know prior to her actually coming to the church. And I wouldn't find that out till later on. But evidently she had an ear for music, or she might have heard from God or caught the spirit, or somebody told her, like, I don't know what it was, but you know, it caught me, you know, it definitely caught me off guard because nobody had really ever said that. So from that point, I was playing basketball at the time. I'm not gonna get into all that, but because that's a long story too. But from that time, I was like, okay, like that was my second year of college. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna really try to be a, you know, professional musician. Basketball ain't really panning out. I'm not going to a league or anything like that. So music was something that I was really focused on and passionate about. So I got that gig I was telling you about with the tribute band. That was like my first professional gig. I did that for about 6 months. Then I was like, man, you know, like this music is, you know, I'm playing cover tunes. I was like, man, I really want to, you know, expand. So when I came back to Nashville, that's when I started to play for different churches, and that's when it was more about the money. And from
Ah,
that time, man, I played for like 10 churches, man. I can name them all. Like, I played um, New Life Through Christ, Fairfield, Silver Springs, Refreshing Springs, House of God, Sweet Savor, Christian Deliverance Church. I'm trying to think what else. It was so many. Like I kind of went blank, but yeah, it was like 10. Like so basically, and that was all in the span of like 2 to 3 years. Because it was like once you get in the game, like and understand the game and how it works, it's like okay, like I got talent. I know how to like this is what I bring to the table. At that point, it's just like a hustle, which is bad because it's the church. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, people making money.
I mean, and to go a little bit into that, man, when you're a when you're a quote unquote church musician, sometimes no, not even sometimes, um, a byproduct of that experience is going to be you're going to see some politics and you're going to see some business.
and
You're going to see
and
stuff that you want to see. You're going to see stuff that you want to see. You're going to see stuff that you don't want to see. Then you're going to see stuff you didn't expect, and all of those things shape you. Like, cause I could say something about, what I'm saying, the church I was telling you about off camera,
yeah,
but you know what I'm saying. It's just, what
yeah.
I'm saying. It's so crazy, and what's so crazy is I haven't played for many churches, but I can name all of them, and all of them were just, besides the churches that I'm playing for now, all of them were just like ended really weird. And then at the end of the day, I realized, especially with the last one, I was like, oh, okay, it's just a business thing. You understand that people have people that they like to hang around. If you aren't those type of people that they like to hang around or whatever, yeah, you're talented. Yeah, you kind of bring a brand or a certain sense of freeness and style here or whatever. But it's like, dude, no, your personal life, this, that, and the third, hey, you're just not a good fit here. I even had somebody call me not too long ago, it was probably 2 weeks ago, that just got let go of a church in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, but it's real, man. And like
Hey, he
people
got fired on his day off, man.
on the like, I, bruh, I can't even fathom. But it's just because of, what I'm saying, how businesses are ran, how and see, and what it is now. I think we need to restructure it because churches are not just businesses, they are brands, and
Mm,
brands are trending right now.
for
you
sure.
know Brands are trending, so if you're not good for the brand, hey, if you can't, and what does that brand do? That brand not only brings you a certain amount of people, but or a certain kind of people, they bring with them dollars.
Facts, yo.
I mean, you really can't get around that. And great answer, man. Going and still keeping on that same mind frame of the
Hmm.
girl who came to the church and was just like, "Hey, dude, you should start doing this for a living." So going into my next question, going in those different environments from growing up in church and then going to seeing the girl and saying, "Hey, you can do this outside of church." And then it's not just me, it's a whole bunch of other women that believe in you. And you know what I'm saying? That just see you and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That just comes with the territory. So what did you learn from those environments as a musician and a person?
Well, it's kind of like man, Kobe, man, the late great Kobe Bryant, man. He
Yes,
said
sir.
when this white man was going through the thing with the divorce or whatever, and I guess she was trying to take half or whatever. Um, he was like, man, you weren't with me shooting in the gym. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, she gave me the like the recipe, but I still had to cook it up. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So, and a lot of times I was cooking it up by myself in the dorm room at a small college, supposed to be playing basketball. I can't get no playing time. I'm depressed. I'm not close to home. I'm not driving. So I'm like, okay, I'm in my room. All I got is, a DVD, a gospel concert that I'm listening to that I'm trying to draw inspiration from. So it's like, man, you gotta, once I learned how to tap into that place, then I was like, okay, like now I still wasn't good, like, because I was still like, I wasn't on, some of the guys I'll mention later on when you talk about influences, if you ask me, but like I wasn't at that level yet, but I knew the path that I would have to take to get there, and I knew what it would cost in the end. And I mean, it costs a lot, man. A sacrifice, man. You got to make that sacrifice to be able to build your skills up. You gotta, fall on your face sometimes, man. You gotta, you know, you gotta go through it, to be able to come out. strong in the end, to be able to, when it gets hard and you're like, man, do I really want to do this? Yes, you do, and there's no questions asked.
Bruh, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. Yeah, that's a pretty forward answer. Because, like you said, man, you like you said, he gave you the recipe,
Yeah,
but
but in
you still
terms,
gotta.
yeah, my bad. But in terms of like the networking and stuff, that was a little different. I don't know if you want me to expound on that as
Yeah.
far as
Okay.
like,
Yeah. So, Will, but what you were saying, like, man, you weren't in there, you know what I'm saying, with me. You gave me the formula, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's always good for the queens, you know what I'm saying, to give us the formula and stuff like that. But like they say, going back to the little basketball reference, it's about the follow through.
absolutely.
You ain't got you got the formula, you don't follow through. It's just like, So man, I appreciate that, bro. So why is it important for drummers to keep their day job?
Oh man, so during that time when I decided to become a professional musician, I was still
Hmm.
in college. When I left college, I came back and I was still living at home. So during that period of time, like when you 19, 20 years old, like I could go out on the road, I could play with different bands, I could take different opportunities that may not be paying, but at the same time, like when I came back, it was like aside from like a phone bill or something like that, I really didn't have a major overhead. So when you're young and you're doing these tours, you don't got no kids, and you ain't tied down. You might have a girlfriend or something like that. At that time, it's easy to be able to, you can go out on the road, you can kind of go for everything. And I remember at one time, I won't expound on this story, but at one point, I said to myself, man, I'm finna just drop everything and move to New York. And of course, I could say that because at the time I didn't have any responsibilities, and even then, that still would have been a mistake. Um, but that's just one of those things. Like once you get to a point, and most of the guys, like a lot of guys, that play drums and knew even early on that that's the only thing they wanted to do. As you reach different points in your life, you'll realize, okay, after being burned so many times, after doing a gig, and you had to travel, and you come back with less than what you had before you left town, you realize, okay, like once I did get my apartment, it was like, I did a gig, we went to New York, show was great, came back, I'm borrowing money, so I'm like, man, like, was it really worth, it was awesome to be able to perform, show my gifts, meet people, meet fans, but coming back being broke is not fun either. Even if you're still living at home, and especially once I had expenses of my own, I was like, unless like you can pay what I'm making, working, or we got to set up where I can not lose out on money. Like sometimes you can't always gain, but if you can at least prevent from losing money, you can keep everything afloat.
Yeah, bro. That's super real, bro. Super real. Cause I'm working a job now myself. You know what I'm saying? And the goal is to you know what I'm saying, not have to do that. Cause my wife works as well. She's a hairstylist. Um, but like I have on my on my monthly like goals thing, I always write down retire my wife.
Where's that
Retire my
stuff at?
wife. You know what I'm saying? Retire my wife. Because if I retire her, then I can pretty much like do whatever I want. you know.
Oh, facts,
So
facts.
so it's just like, all right, bet. So let me just keep that every month a goal and try to do that. And and she be on me like, no, you need to stay on this job. I'm like, oh my gosh, babe, okay. You know. But
Yeah, man.
going into I guess like our next segment, what we were talking about a little bit, what you touched on about inspirations, bro. So who inspires your style?
All right, so if you go to if you pull up your screen, if you do a screen share,
Okay.
and you go to pick 7.
Let's see. There it is.
Yo, you know who that
Mhm.
is, right?
Oh yeah. The Calvin C. Rod Rogers.
Yo,
You know what I'm saying?
man, that was in I was actually, man, I took that picture, like we sat down, we had a little sit down or whatever.
Oh man.
That was in Chicago, man. That story was crazy. Last minute, man, Smokey Norfolk, he needed a drummer. Nobody really knows why. You talking about Smokey Norfolk, a Grammy, award winner, like he needs a drummer. So they set up this big audition thing. What I ended up doing was with the audition, they wanted you to send in video footage. And if the
Mm.
video footage got approved, then they would invite you out to Chicago to audition. So I ended up going out there to audition and we linked while we was out there. Long story short, but man, I mean, the relationship definitely didn't start there. I mean, the relationship started, like I said, with me being in my dorm room, popping in the DVD. The DVD
Mm.
I was popping in was Fred Hammond, Free to Worship. That was
Yeah.
2006. That DVD changed my life. Like, I was just like, man, like, and even now I go back and watch it, like, man. And I even text him sometimes. I'd be like, yo, like, everything was so perfect. And I don't know if it was, I mean, obviously the talent, but with Fred, I don't know how long they prepped for that. I forget what he told me, but man, it really everything was perfect. And looking at that, I'm like, okay, this is the level I want to get to, and how can I get to that level? So watching him, we actually got connected with MySpace through MySpace. I had watched. What did I watch? I watched, Free to Worship. I was following. He was doing the Martha Munenzi stuff, and he was doing like a lot of the Israel stuff. And he was doing a lot of these live recordings. I hit him up on MySpace on the inbox. I was like, "Yo, like, man, I really can't find much about you on the internet. Like, what's going on? How old are you?" And he finally he responded. And when he responded, I was like, "Wow, I wasn't expecting him to respond." And that kind of was misleading because the next time I messaged him, he didn't respond for like the next 28, 30 messages. He never
Oh wow.
responded after that. So, at first I was like, oh man, I got him in my back pocket. And then it was like, nah. And and quick story, man, the only reason, like the next time we had communication before we actually became friends was I was trying to do a drum clinic. So
Mm.
this was back in like 2009, 2010. I hit his inbox. I'm like, man, he ain't responding to my questions, man. So let me see. Like in my head, I want to do a clinic. I want to bring in like Calvin Rogers and also Brent Easton. He was playing for Ricky Dillard, big
Yeah.
time drummer during that time, man. He came out with Awesome God, man. Like they was really thumping. So I was like, man, let me get Brent. So getting Brent was a little easier, man. Like he wasn't, he didn't need as much. He was just like, man, you take care of my flight, you take care of everything, like you good. Calvin, I sent him on MySpace. I was like, yo, man, I want to book you for a clinic. This was in 2009, 2008, 2009. He sent me a whole email of all the specs, man. And these specs, man, it was crazy. Like, so he was endorsed by Yamaha at the time. So he's like, man, I need this size, this size, this size. I need this cymbal stand. Um, I need you to take care of that. I need the flight and I need $1,000 on top of that. I'm just throwing out a number. So I was just like, man. So what I did, so what I ended up doing was it fell through. Long story short, it fell
Mm.
through. I mean, but I was really trying to make it happen because I was in
Right.
college and I was getting like Pell Grants and loans and stuff. So I was like, man, I could afford it. But what messed up was the math when you work out the math. So you think about like the sheds and the clinics and stuff that we see on TV, not TV, YouTube.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, that's cool to watch it, but actually bringing in Calvin um, versus watching it is two different things because you paid all that money out, and then once you get there, like now you got to charge people for the clinic. And how about you gonna charge them? Like you in a whole $2,000. Hey, hi. You in a whole like $2,000 and now you got to figure out how much you got to charge these musicians to be able to get in. And you can't charge them. You can't be like, oh man, I'm gonna charge you $75 so I can recoup. Like that's not gonna happen. Musicians ain't, it should be free. It's got to be free anyway. At the most, $10. So so I'm like, look at the band. I'm like, man, listen, I would have to get 150, 200 people here to, recoup like all the money I would, his plane ticket. And that was actually when I was with, my ex at the time. She was like, man, you know what? You need to just fly out and meet Calvin, man, and go to his clinic because she was like, you can't break him in. That's not going to happen. Man. So After that, it kind of fell off. We stopped communicating. And then when Twitter rolled around, he was in town in Nashville for the Stellar Awards, and I saw him tweet. So I hit him on a DM. I was like, "Yo, man, like, man, I just want to be in a room, man. I want to be able to like, I watch cars, I get coffee, man. Like, I just want to be there." He's like, "Yo, man, we rehearsing, man." He gave me his info and stuff, and I hit him up. It is funny because when I got there, I ain't do none of that stuff. I ain't run one errand, and I know he's probably looking like, "Man, I thought you said you gonna get coffee," but I got there, man. I was solid as a rock. But what happened was, man, like the first year the security and stuff wasn't as strict. Like I could kind of walk in and look like I knew I was supposed to be there, and I got backstage. It was cool. Second year was a little different. But when I initially met him, I was like, man, Cal, like in the flesh, like Calvin, like. And I was like, first thing that came to my mind was, I'm about to steal his swag. I'm about to steal everything. Like, okay, he got two phones. I'm gonna have two phones. I see he got a little bracelet on. Like I was like, I'm gonna have a bracelet. What he rocking Aldo? Okay, I'm gonna rock Aldo. So instantly at that age, like somebody you look up to, a mentor, you like, oh man, this is what I need to be like. Later on, you get your own style and stuff, but at the time, it was just like, man, this is it. This is what I want to be. So, um, being able to watch him rehearse, run through these songs, man, they ran through like, man, at least 50 songs, and then like, they had intros, outros, everything was scripted, and you had the whole Chicago band, man. You had Maurice, you had Joey Woolfolk, you had, man, the next year Teddy Campbell was there. But man, you had all the heavy hitters, man, and it was like sitting there absorbing all of that stuff. It was just like, man, like it was humbling. It wasn't like, oh man, I should be. It was just like, man, this is like crazy. Like these are the people I looked up to, and I'm actually getting a chance to meet everybody. And it's in a non-formal setting. Like we went out to eat. When we went out to eat with the whole band and stuff, man, they had the table spread, and I sat at the bar because I was like, man, I'm not really at the band, so. But Calvin was like, nah, man, you come over here, like you come sit with us, man. You know what I'm saying? So it was all love, man.
Hey man, yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that, man.
yeah.
So what I was gonna ask is, he's your favorite drummer then? Because that
Yeah,
goes into my next question.
yeah, for sure, man. Biggest musical influence, it started with Calvin, but as I got into other genres and stuff like that, I had to expand, obviously. So, Calvin, Spanky, Brent Easton, Calvin Napper, Jeremy Haynes, all of those gospel cats. Um, I even had to dig back even further. I had to go Dave Weckl. I had to go to Calvin's influences. So I had to go Dave Weckl. I had to go Steve Smith, Steve Gadd. And then I had to go technical. I had to go, JoJo Mayer. I had to go Benny Greb. And at the time when I left that road gig, even though it was money coming in, I was like, okay, I need to really start over, start from the beginning with technique and really slow it down and really like try to get to where I want to get to from a playing, perspective. So once that happened, everybody opened up. Aaron Spears, man, is huge, man. I had
Yeah.
his DVD, man. His DVD, still one of my favorites, man. I made the deadly mistake of loaning it to somebody, and I never got it back.
Mm.
And I try to pull up certain clips from that DVD, and you can't find them on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Aaron Spears is huge, and then the gospel chop movement when that came in. So you
Yep.
got Eric Moore, Tony Royster, which I don't
Mm.
include him in gospel chops because he at 4 years old he was playing, he was going crazy.
Yeah.
So he's kind of in his own lane, but like Thomas Pridgen, Joey Oscar, man. If you remember James Fortune when he first came out, man, Joey Oscar, was on drums and that was one of the first few clips they posted on YouTube, and he was going crazy. Of course, Jeremy Haynes, I mentioned him before, but Gospel Chops that really changed the game for me as well. So it's a bunch of cats. It's a bunch of cats.
Man, that's what's up, man. That's what's up.
You heard
And
my daughter.
going,
My bad.
go ahead.
You heard my daughter in the background, Cam?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I did, man. Yeah. Hey, I got babies too, so I get it, bro. They just walking back and forth right now, bro.
Yo.
So
I was like, yo.
going back a little bit to what you were saying about the clinic, a few things I wanted to I guess like touch on and ask you about, man. It's
Mhm.
like it's crazy because not too many drummers are, it's not our foundation, I guess like our foundation is the like, or our basis is the whole foundation that have already been put together for us, i.e. a song that we got to learn. And so
Mm-hmm.
then we can put our flavor on it once we know the foundation.
Facts.
And then now translating to that into not only just being somebody that's like a drummer for hire, is like now I'm trying to hire a drummer to perform a service for me, but I'm a drummer too. So how do I go about that? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like you actually going through that put you in a like business mind frame of what are like, like you were saying, I'm in college, so let me tap into these Pell grants to use other people's money, you know what I'm saying, to go get some
Facts.
stuff that I'm trying to get right now, you know what I'm saying? And that's cool. And that's what I kind of want to use this channel for, is to not limit it, because I know you heard of Shine Right.
Oh
Um
man,
Man,
man.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then even before,
Yes,
I think Sean
yes.
started doing his thing on the artist side for real, for real. What inspired me back in 2019 to start doing a little singing and playing
Oh,
was,
he can sing.
Anderson Pack. See, he raps now, bro. So you know what I'm
Okay.
saying, with the auto tune and stuff, you know what I'm saying? He's pretty much singing and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, bro. It's crazy how these drummers now are just coming out of their shells and even becoming more than. You know what I'm saying? And then when you're becoming more than, it requires, like they say, a next level of you. And that's what I want to use this channel for, is to let people know, like, bro, if you're a drummer and you're just waiting for people to hire you, bro, you can put stuff together just because of the people that have hired you, your i.e.
Hmm.
resume. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And so this is like, hey, I played for this artist. I know this venue. Hey, this is what I can give you with this content or whatever. This is how many people I think I can bring out and stuff like that, man. So I know that
absolutely.
was nerve wracking and a great experience trying to get all of that together, man. And so what was the
Man.
what was the
Oh man.
marketing process
Oh
that you
man.
were kind
See,
of sort of like going through before you realized that it just wasn't gonna happen?
Man, that's a great question, man. I wish I. What's your cash app, man? I'm gonna send you something on the cash app real quick.
Man,
Even
bro,
though,
bro, hey, BLK. I'm glad you said that, man. Y'all up here. Let me check this right here, bro.
yeah.
We got 7 people watching. I appreciate y'all, bro. The
Mhm.
Cash App is hashtag BLKCLLR45. Venmo, the same thing, just the @ sign. Go ahead and give them your cash platforms too, my brother.
Oh man, listen, man. If y'all got an extra 5, man, you ain't even paying attention to, man. J Willliams drums, man. Just type that in and at me.
Bro, yes, sir, man. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So, man, the thing is, man, um, you have a business mind. So like it didn't come from me, it come from God, obviously. So it's like when you have that business mind, even though you haven't done that business before, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to accomplish, and these are the steps. I'm not sure what the steps are going to be because I haven't been here before, but as I reach each step, I'm going to try to go up the step, and eventually I will be able to walk through the door. On this particular situation, I could walk through the door, I fell down the steps. But I mean, my mindset was just like, all right, this is my favorite drummer, like, and like, how many fans does Calvin Rogers got? Like everybody, like in the church, like he's like kind of like with John P. Key rain on us, like that. That changed the game. And then like from that point, I started looking at his discography. So even stuff with Ricky Diller early on, Urban Nights, contemporary jazz. Like I was listening to everything that he played on. And you know, I'm like, he's not the only, like he has a fan base. So how can we tap into that? The only problem was when you talk about like marketing and stuff like that is how big is your circle? If your circle is only as big as, who you associate with at church on campus, like I was in college, so on campus, like my circle was very small, and that was before, Instagram and, YouTube and, YouTube was around, but it was like completely different back then. So it was just like, all right, how can I get the word out? So yeah, I can go church to church. I can print up flyers. So now it's like you spending more money. Plus, you still got to cover, that contract that Calvin sent over. So you still gotta, you gotta get the backline straight. You gotta, get the airfare straight. You gotta get, and it's like, yeah, I had a little bit of money, but it's just like if I get him in, it costs me 2,000, and I do the event and I make $400, $500. It's pretty much like, I definitely didn't recoup on in that situation. I still had fun and still was like it's still a memory that I always have, but it's like how expensive was that memory versus, the other way around. Like if I would have just like, once I got into a better position where I could like calculate it and be like, okay, we're not gonna just do a one-time clinic, we're gonna do a master class. So this time with the master class, what we're gonna do, okay, it's gonna be $75. You pay 75, but you get Calvin for, 2 nights, and in these clinics, like this is what he's gonna be breaking down. Now, with 2 nights, obviously the price would have went up, but you kind of see like as you fall on your face and learn, like the next time you try to say, okay, like let me brainstorm first, like before I reach out to Calvin or Chris Coleman, he's a clinician, or who else is it? Steve Smith, great clinician, Dave Welker, like all those cats, phenomenal clinics. Billy Cobham back in the day, his clinics were insane. So it's just like, okay, before I try to get this dude on the phone, let me get a piece of paper out and let me write some ideas and stuff down first. That way, I can try to prevent those situations from happening, and then I can, be in a better position. Like, I know it's coming before it actually happens, but that's what you learn like the second time around.
Most definitely, man.
Yeah.
Most definitely, man. Great answer, bro. Great
Yeah.
answer, man. I appreciate that, bro. And going fast forwarding to now, and I saw somebody, Jess Cleland, in the comments said, talk about your favorite bass players you played with. Cool face emoji,
That's a trap, man. That's a trap, yo.
Yeah. Yo, man, that's so funny, man. I appreciate you guys tapping in with us, man. But going veggie backing, I'm vegan, so I don't do the.
Are
I
you
don't do
vegan,
Yeah,
man?
yeah, man, yeah. And it's crazy. My wife, she just made some. Shouts out to the queen. She just made some. She made fried oyster mushrooms, mac and cheese, cabbage, and red beans and rice with hot water cornbread, bro. All vegan.
Man.
Like
Wow,
it's
man.
crazy, man. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro. But the veggie back off of what you were saying, bro. Um, that was like in the past, and that was like your first time, like kind of sort of like tapping into your like, okay, business mind frame. All right, yeah, it's like more like, all right, cool. So now, since what? It's been a year now, almost for real, for real. I guess March will be like the official year since we've all been locked down or whatever from Corona, bro. So, what have you been doing to stay afloat musically while in Corona?
Um, so just to go back a little bit about what I was saying, like one of the biggest experiences, the biggest lessons I learned from that situation was when he sent me that email. He sent me the template of some of the expectations I should have later on, in my career, and I was able to apply that to different gig opportunities when I started talking to artists. When you're trying to make sure you're gonna do a gig and actually get paid, a lot of those, principles that I learned from that email, I would carry over. Um, so in terms of business, I have to look at it as myself. Like I was a super fan, obviously, trying to get Calvin in, but when I look at it from my perspective, I'm like, okay, I'm a drummer. I'm trying to get paid. Like, I played casinos. I played for different artists. Like, what can I do to brand myself in a different way? And that's where the internet kind of came in simultaneously. So during Corona, like for me, the good thing is I was already working. Like I was, I'm working full time. I was working. Um, I wasn't, doing a lot of tours and stuff like that. So for me, it wasn't a big like culture shock as it would be for, some of these bigger guys that, when you really do the math, and especially as you get older, you talk about rent, mortgage, lights, gas, cable, Wi-Fi. That's not free, man. Like it's not free at
Right.
all. And you can have all the chops and stuff, man. It still ain't gonna be free. When they get ready to turn that stuff off, man, you gotta have the bread. So and that's kind of what I was saying earlier, like when you're younger, like 19, 20, and you can, take advantage of, still living at home and being able to like not really in expenses, you should take advantage of that and not like waste your money on like stuff you really don't need. Like really be like, okay, I want to further my career, while I'm young. I don't have kids, like, you know, because once you do have those things,
it's gotta like make a lot more sense for you to go out of town. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm finna go out of town, and then like, and stuff not getting taken care of. So I think during Corona, the biggest thing though that helped me stay afloat musically was having my home studio set up. So that was something that, I had to adjust to. Because early on, like 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, like, a lot of these recordings were happening inside of a studio. A lot of these, like, there still was a demand for session players, not like it was back in the 60s, 70s, man, when you was in Detroit and, man, you had the Ohio play, you had all the, like, the cats, like a session was everything. But during that time, it still was way more involved. I feel like compared to now the digital age where it's all about hip hop and stuff like that, where you really don't get that natural instrumentation. So the need to get a live drummer and book out a drum room is getting less and less, which is unfortunate because it's like we got to eat too, and it's tough to eat when now you got an artist like a Jill Scott. So I know off camera we mentioned Chris Daddy Dave, like, so you got a guy like that. You got Spanky, man. You got guys that, man, like, people give Spanky some flack or whatever, and they, hate, everybody get hated on, but Spanky, man, recording wise, like when it comes to a creative, like you need something that's like not normal, that you want it on wax and you doing neo soul and stuff, he's the guy, but it's like, where's the demand for that, nowadays? So, it's kind of tough, but having a home recording setup is key. Like when you can record from home, people send you stuff that lowers the cost of what it would be to rent out a room. So it's like a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Shit, man, and that segues right into my next question. And a little bit, yeah, like because I was saying I was on mute, but yeah, if you wanted something like you said, not normal, I was saying something crazy. Yeah, you call those guys, and then it's gonna be crazy and still in the pocket.
Man,
Like, and it's so crazy, man. I remember, I forgot what album Spanky played on, Marette, Brown Clark, I think that whatever live album she did, and it was pretty much like Marette featuring Spanky. Because like he killed that album, man. That whole album was just musical, bro. And it's crazy how he and Daddy can just put that stuff together like that. You know what I'm saying? And still be in the pocket. And then it's so crazy that, like you said, that they've had their own lane for so long to where, you know, they have the capabilities to still send the electronic feel if they want to, but like they say, like you just said, if they want something crazy, they'll call them for those acoustic crazy stuff that is on meter. And speaking of acoustics that are on meters, bro, what made you get an E kit?
So the electronic kit, man, that started my first year of college when I first got my Pell Grant. Instead of getting a car, I was like, man, I always wanted a drum set, electronic drum set. As a kid, you go in the store, like a Guitar Center, like you gonna get an electronic kit, you gonna throw the headphones on because people are not gonna complain about the noise. So at the time, my brother, man, he had saved up, and man, we was both getting $2 a week, not a week, but a day for lunch money, and he saved up $2 for like 3 years to get him a motif. So he got a Yamaha motif keyboard, and it had a built-in like sequencer. So he would start recording songs and stuff like that, and eventually I would sit down behind the keyboard, and I would do stuff, and we used to always talk. He used to be like, "Hey man, you should get an electronic kit, so then we can start recording drums and do stuff like that." And once I saw the opportunity, I ran with it. Once I had the money, I was like, okay, like I always want an electronic kit. So the first electronic kit that I got was a Yamaha DTX Extreme, and this was back in 2010. So then, the kits, it was like it really wasn't a middle ground. So like what's cool about technology now is like you got entry level, obviously beginner, entry level, advanced, amateur. Like you really can, like, if you do a little bit of research, you can really decipher through, okay, what, kit can I get that's not going to be, out of my budget, but still not amateur at the same time when it comes to, recording music. So the first test was really just getting my skills and stuff up, because the first time I got it, it was like I could record. Now I can record to a click track. I can record into a software. So by the time I got my first professional studio session, which I don't think I sent that over either in the pics, but by the time I got my first professional studio session, it was like, okay, I'm used to the recording process a little bit, as far as like, okay, the track about to start and then I'm about to play to it. Like, people don't understand, like, that really is something you got to learn. And you can either learn it in practice or you can try to learn it on the job, but that doesn't always work out, because, you can lose a lot of opportunity. You go in there and crash and burn. So, for me, having that practice, and then as of late, having that, I'm able to, again, like, you're in a situation where you can't, play your acoustic drums, at all times of night. You can't always record. So if you got a noise restriction, you know, you can stay fresh. And I always say, like, practice on your kit, electric kit, but also still work on your hands, still do rudiments, still do practice pad stuff, and stay fresh, because it's not the same. But it's just how it is. It was just like, okay, I want to practice. I'm not practicing. So how can I practice? I can't practice without a drum set. I can't wait until, $3,000 fall out of the sky. I got to get something within my budget so I can at least get better.
Most definitely, man. Cause that's like I got interviewed on the Lemon Water Chronicles podcast. Y'all follow them. Go sub
Nice.
to them. They're on YouTube. I got interviewed from them last year. And I pretty much said the same thing, bro. Like, I need something that I can practice on, and I ain't gonna get called the cops on. You know what I'm saying? So got me in a little leases. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, man, you could definitely get locked up for playing drums as a black
yeah.
man. Yeah.
Bro, I remember there was one time, me and this cat named Billy Smart, we were playing music, and we were trying to get ready for a show, bro. And we were in a house. Um uh and we just didn't know it. And it was just like 10, I think, going on 11 or whatever. And then we just get a knock at our door, and I'm just like, "Who is it?" And they're like, "Huntsville Police." I'm like, "Oh shit." you know I'm like, oh man, okay, all right, give me a minute, you know, like yeah. So that's definitely, man, that's definitely a good thing, man. So so those are some of the pros of it. What's some of the cons of an e-kit that you've ran into?
So my first kid, it was a lot of cons because the first one wasn't really like, it was a little like 2009, 2010. So like the surface of it was more like a practice pad. So it's
Yeah,
like more rubbery. So
yeah,
when you hit it, it had a totally unrealistic feel than an
yeah.
actual drum set. So playing on those lower end ones, like that's really, really cheap, you really don't like, it's really unnatural. And what I had to do as I got older, like when I first started, I was like, man, I'm diddling, everything's gonna be a
Mhm.
diddle.
Right, right.
But as I got older and I noticed a difference when I switched over, in the same speed and accuracy, and even like the touch is different, man. And touch is so important as a drummer. Like once you have that touch, it can translate to different surfaces. But I wasn't there yet. So what I had to do was I took a blanket. I used to take blanket towels and stuff like that, and I would put that over the electronic drum set. So when I played, I wouldn't lose like the endurance factor and all that kind of stuff. With this kit I have now, it's a Lisa's Command Mesh. Man, I will say this is the best entry level drum set out there. Like it's only $750, but it has the mesh heads. So with the mesh, it has it comes with a drum key and you can loosen the heads up. So of course my stuff is maximum looseness, man. I
Yeah,
like it
yeah.
loose. So the only thing, of course, is like the cymbals and the hi hat and stuff. Like unless you spending like you getting a roll in like something that's crazy, like $2,000-3,000, like the price of a you know, actual. I mean, because granted, you can get a real drum set for 750, but when you get into like the Rollins and the stuff that has the module, that's like, crazy and has a lot of built-in songs and stuff like that. You're gonna pay a good grip. You're gonna pay like 2,000,
Yeah.
3,000. Man, this one company, man,
some of the best electronic drum set you ever seen. It's crazy. I was like, man, how much does it cost? And I went to a website and I had to Google what a euro was, and it was too much. It was too much.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I can't play. It's custom, man, but I don't have that kind of money to be able to put into a kit. Um, so I definitely think there is some drop off, but like I was saying earlier, like if you practicing with a practice pad, you making sure like you still get, like I use marching sticks, and that was something that I picked up from Tony Royster. A lot of guys like, man, use those heavy sticks, get those sticks, and you really can make sure there's no drop off, especially if you got something coming up. Because truth be told, quick story, when I went to LA, to record that record, man, I was kind of inactive, like, for about a year almost. And it was funny, man, because the artist, he was like, yo, man, he's like, man, you still got your set? Like, you practicing, man? Because we got these songs, man. We trying to, like, you good? And I ended up getting like a practice pad kit at the time. And it was just like, kind of what you see in the Aaron Spears Modern Drummer video, like he playing on a practice pad kit. And I was like, okay, the muscle memory and everything's still there. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm Gucci. But before then, I hadn't been practicing at all. So it was just like, um, the muscle memory, everything was still there. The only thing I didn't have once I got to the session was the endurance. And he was running them, man. He was running these songs back to back to back, back to back to back. First day, man, it wasn't just like, yeah, we did 12 songs, but it wasn't like one take every song. Like I went in there, one take Jake. Like it was like, some songs you run multiple take punches. But when you're running all them songs, man, it's just like, if you ain't been in the game, like you can still perform, but the endurance not gonna be there.
right, right, right. Yeah, it takes endurance is a big part of that, man. A big part of that, man. So with all of that being said, man, I know you said you got some files sent to you, I guess, while you've had that e kit. So is it possible for drummers that have, they got good sounds, they have acoustic sounds, they got electric sounds, they have, a good software recording software to do, what I'm saying, a good turnaround time, and they have an electric kit. Is it possible for drummers to get paid from home using an electric kit?
Man, it's more than possible. It's actually an easier setup. I mean, because man, it's crazy because I go on IG and I see all these guys, man, with these setups, man, acoustic, which is I'm like, man, I'm kind of jealous, like low key a
Right,
little
right.
bit. But you got to think in terms of, again, back to what I was saying about the clinic, like how much money am I putting in versus how much I'm getting back. And when you think about an acoustic sound treatment versus an electric, it's a big gap in the money. How much it's gonna cost,
Most definitely.
especially if you're trying to get everything at once. Now, a lot of guys, like, they've been smart over the years, piece by piece. Like, but some people, they land in situations, they kind of like more free spirited, like I am. It's just like,
Yeah,
all right, I need it.
yeah,
I got an
yeah.
idea. Let's make it happen. So, you got guys like that. But I really think that, yeah, you definitely can get paid, man. Now, having a home setup and having an electric kit, you have the option to record in MIDI. So I explained real quick, like MIDI versus audio. Like, so whenever I was recording in the studio and I was doing the record, like, for a singer songwriter, um, after the session, they would always ask me, they would say, hey man, can you do a sample of just a snare? Can you do a sample of just the hi-hat open, or can you like hit the crash? Like they would ask for these samples because what they would do is the engineer would go back, when he's trying to mix, like before they send it off to be mixed and mastered, like, all right, let me make sure the drum take is there. So they'll be listening through, like the take can be there, but it can be like, okay, in verse 2, like, I hit the rim a little bit more than I hit the snare. So it's one of those situations where, yeah, you can just like, you can plug in that snare that I sample at the velocity that you want and it'd be okay. But that's audio. When you talk about MIDI, that eliminates all of that because everything's MIDI. And with drums, a lot of the VSTs that you can use, everything's pre-mapped. So if you're using, Ableton, I'm using, Reaper or whatever, I'm using a different DAW, the mapping is going to be the same. So if you send me a file, you send me a demo, you're like, oh man, like I want to see what this would sound like with drums on it. When I send you that file back,
I'm gonna send it as an MP3. So first you can hear it with the song, so you can know like what I'm trying to go for. You know, I'm gonna send you the wave, because then you're gonna have a better, you know, mix of the project, a better, you know, file to work with. And then I'm gonna send you the MIDI, and the MIDI is gonna be crucial. So if you want to go in and you want to do some sound replacements, if you want to use your kit, if you pay for, you know, some drum sounds, you know, because this, man, the drum sounds are out there, man. Like it's like the competition is crazy for drum sounds. They gotta everybody come out with a pack every week. So,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, as a performing musician, like you could definitely make a living, you know, doing that, you know, recording those songs, sending it out the way I send it out. And then what I always try to do too, I always try to edit the MIDI before I actually send it out. That way, you know, it's minimum changes. They don't really got to dig through and make sure everything's like, you know, you got quantized too, which
Mhm.
depending on the track. And like I said, it's a different time. Like, you know, obviously, you know, growing up listening to Calvin, you know, like, you know, Marvin Sapp and Fred Hammond, Ricky Dillard, even with Spanky, with GA and all that stuff, like that stuff was live. But
Mhm.
it's just like now the market is shifting a little bit. So now the market is more like, you know, production. Like when you look at man, Teddy Campbell, man, what's the man, I can't remember what they call, man, the uh Teddy Campbell, his wife Erica, I don't know if it's Erica Warren or whatever.
Mhm.
What's that group called, man? It's been
What? You're not talking about Mary Mary.
Mary, exactly.
Okay. All right. All right. Eric, what? Campbell? Yeah.
Yo, so when you look at like Mary, man, I feel like between them, Kiera Shear, like James Fortune, like those were the first, like some of the first. Well, Kirk Franklin, you gotta like he's the empire, but those were some of the first to mix that production in with gospel music. And then once that happened, and like, you know, I'm sure like God and Me, like how much money did that song make? I'm sure on the radio. And then Mary, they had a Dust My Feet Off So I Can Dance. I just want to dance. What's that song? Like, man, that I'm sure they still getting checks from that. So when you look at the formula, it's not like, you know, that's not alive like, you know, Marvin Sapp, you know, Possess the Land, like with instrumentation, the stuff that we like, you know, I would like to play that type of stuff. But in terms of like selling records, if you look at it like that, you know, it's a certain sound that you need. And for me, like branching off into different genres, having an E-kit, like if somebody send me like a blues tune or they need something that's like kind of like, you know, laid back, you know, you got the drums, you know, be able to do that. And even if they don't like your drums, they can plug in their own drums. So MIDI, you know, gives you that luxury, and that's huge. And I feel like that's really what's going to be next level, because you still get the feel. Like if Spank wanna, you know, if he, you know, Jill Scott hit him up and he wanna, you know, play a record, you know, he got an E-kit set up and he do it in MIDI, you know, and it's like a neo soul, like, because I don't quantize everything. Like a lot of stuff I try not to, you know, quantize, especially if it's gospel. But you know, if it's neo soul and you swinging it, like you're not gonna be able to line up as like, you know, the way they be
Mhm.
playing, like you're not gonna line it
Right.
up. But you got the feel is there. So when you send that off, even if they want to change the drums, you know, they can do that if they want to. And then like you, I remember we were talking about like, you know, routing everything as far as the toms and stuff.
Yeah.
When you do that, man, there's some guys out there, there's some freaks that can really turn that electronic drum set into like something that you recorded in one of these big studios. So
Mm.
I don't know how to do all that stuff, but I know how to do enough to like, okay, reverb, I'm gonna turn that down a little bit, I'm gonna make sure the mix is good, I'm gonna turn it around as fast as I can, and I'm gonna make some money, man.
Bro, that's what's up, man. Cause that actually, you know what I'm saying, gives inspiration to me as well. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm just tapping in, you know what I'm saying, to that, to being able to have recording capabilities, man. And staying on that same frame, man, since we're talking about this, bro, what software and what plugins do you use to make these money?
So with the Focusrite, man, that's like a lot of people use Focusrite because it's like the price is it's a good price. And you can kind of go up. You can start with the 2 channel, you can go 4 channel, like you can really just, you know, increase the size of the mixer depending on your recording situation. So you know, for me, with the Focusrite, man, they give you when you install a program, they kind of give you access to a few DAWs that you can kind of try out. And at the time, I was a little rusty, so I wasn't, um, I was performing more than I was recording. So I was like, okay, what do I like? Um, I really don't want to, Cubase don't really exist. It does, but like nobody's really using Cubase like that. I'm using PC, so I'm not finna try to set up no Pro Tools because that's probably not gonna even work, on PC in the way it should. Logic is good, for PC, but I'm not really a Logic guy. So I was like, man, okay, what's something that's inexpensive? What can I like? And Reaper is it's one of the best softwares out there. It's like the cheapest DAW on the market. The commercial licensing, fee and even for the standalone use fee, like it's very cheap. Like it's very cheap. The only thing about Reaper, man, you got to pretty much do everything yourself. So it's not a lot of shortcuts. It's shortcuts, but you got to create those shortcuts. So for me, it was a lot of like YouTube and stuff. But like once I got everything like dialed in and set up, man, and did a little bit of research and watched some videos, it's just like, okay, like Reaper is cool. Like I really don't got to dish out no more money. And also with Reaper, it's one of those DAWs, and a lot of them are like that. But you can drop in video too. So when I record my videos on like my iPad or my iPhone, I drop in the video. I'll edit up the video in Reaper. Well, I don't do any serious editing. I'll like trim it. And if I want to add effects and stuff like that, I'll do that on a different thing because it's not really built for, it's not really built to do something in comparison to like a Final Cut. But if you got Final Cut, that's strictly video. But with Reaper, you can at least like you can kind of shortcut the process of having to keep transferring stuff and having to you can kind of dump it in with the audio, sync it up, and then do what you got to do. So I think Reaper is really cool. As far as that, um, as far as recording, the price was right. And also, it's a lot of YouTube videos on Reaper, man, a ton of them, and it's cross-platform. You can use it on Mac too. So it was funny. The first guy that sent me a song to record, he was like, "What do you use?" I was like, "I use Reaper." He was like, "Oh, I use Reaper too." Um, he was a cheapskate, but I'm a cheapskate too, I guess.
Hey man, yeah, and one of my interviews with Fred Walker, bro, we was telling we were talking about knowing who you are, man. If you know you're a cheapskate, bro, you know what I'm saying, go work with it because you gonna get some money anyway. My wife says frugal, yeah.
Man.
So that's what she say. So going staying on that same frame about like recording content, I think either earlier or off camera, we were talking about iRigs and stuff like that. And I know that's how I usually record my stuff. And going back a little bit, what VST do you use for your drum sounds?
Oh, it's Easy Drummer all day. I used to when I first got Reaper, man, I had to hold on one second.
Yeah.
When I first got Reaper, I had to get used to everything, man. I was rusty. So you know what it's like being rusty. You like, man, I can get it. Like I know I got the mental capacity, but I still got to learn how to do it. And I'm not gonna be able to guess everything. So it's like, all right, let me pull up YouTube. So from the moment of Focusrite makes it really easy. Once you plug in your interface, it registers. The computer I have, Windows 10 Pro, whatever, like it installs the drivers and everything you need. But what happens is once you get into, okay, how can I add a VST? Um, I got my electronic drum set. I want to plug it in for the first time. So like, what do I need to do? And I'm using Reaper. So what I actually did, I kind of, wrote down all the steps, like step by step, because I feel like it's still a market for that. Because a lot of people do want to record drums and stuff. So that's something I get into later about as far as what I'm like trying to do moving forward. But like, it was a step process. But I started off using Steven Slate because it's a free VST. It's a lot of free VSTs out there. Like, and that's what I don't know if a lot of people know that, but man, it's a ton of VSTs, man. That's compatible with whatever type of software that you're using. Um, but I plugged in a few that was kind of more keyboard based. I didn't have a MIDI controller as far as like a keyboard. My drum set, like an electronic drum set, is actually a MIDI controller when you
Right.
think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But with Steven Slate, the thing about the free version, sometimes free ain't always free. The
Right.
free part of it was I had to do all the mapping. So I had to literally sit there and be like, okay, this is C sharp, whatever. Um, Once I got Easy Drummer, man, one of my friends, man, one of my buddies, man, he had Easy Drummer already, and they let you like license the software or whatever on different computers or whatever. I think it's like a maximum of like 3,
Mm.
and I was able, like, he gave me the program. So from there, plugging and play Easy Drummer is like I don't have to do anything. Like once I get in there, I plug in the VST. I'm just changing the kit around. Like I'm not mapping anything, and I can change. Like it has a mixer in there, so you can change the mix. So like for me, Easy Drummer is the easiest to use because when I send that MP3 file out, like when I send that out, it's like okay, like the drums is there, the take is there, the fill is there. If you want to change it, here's the MIDI.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like my drums, here's the MIDI, but you can kind of, I try to give them, as much as possible, as far as that's concerned.
Man, that's what's up, bro. Because I use Easy Drummer as well, man,
Yeah.
and I'm just like really tapping into it. But yeah, because I use Logic as my DAW. Yeah, because when I went in there the first time I went in there, it was easy, and just added whatever symbols I wanted to sound. I still using the AAX 17-inch, I think, like Thin Crash on one of
Yeah.
them. Then I got an Ozone on another one. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's real easy. I got the toms at the dBs of what I want for the sound individually, and then the tone form that I want. Man, it's real easy, man. So I can't wait to actually start recording for people and getting that money as well. You know what I'm talking about? So
Yeah, because what's not to cut you off, but what's cool is that what I do now is that, like, one of my guys, man, we've been recording back and forth. Like one of my main guys that I record with, he'll say, "Hey, man, I just want a 16 bar loop. Give me a bridge. Give me a special tag, and then give me an outro." Like he might text me like just that, like that's it, and he'll be like, "This is the feel," and he'll send a YouTube link of what the song is, and be like, "This is the feel that I'm going for." So I go in, and 1-2 takes, I knock it out. And I know in my head, I'm like, okay, I know this is not perfect, but since I recorded it in MIDI, I come in, I'm like, okay, like the performance part of it is over. Now let me just edit down the track, and prep it to be able to send it out. Let me do, like, you can do sound replacement, like, with electronic kit, like with the kit I got, I only got 2 cymbals, right? So it's like ride and crash. So it's like, all right, well, that's kind of boring if you're doing a recording and you only got 2 cymbal choices. So with that MIDI, obviously you can, add and delete, and you can put different symbols and stuff in there too. So it's like an editing process, and the better you get at that, I mean, you become a asset in multiple ways too.
Most definitely, because not only are you tapping into the craft of just the rudimentaries of the actual instrument, you're going inside of the digital and production of that thing as well. You know what I'm saying? And then that will translate when we do start, you know what I'm saying, gigging again. Because then when I sound, what I hope after this is that, like, at sound check, drummers will actually be like, okay, cool, I don't just want my mix to sound good for me. I want the entire mix to sound good for everyone.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just because I've been in my ear hearing uh or tweaking what I have been hearing over time. Now let me see what works and what doesn't for not only the band but and the artist, but for the crowd too, man, because you got to keep the crowd coming, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Man, them sound checks are brutal, man. It's like you get one sound dialed in, and then as soon as it's time to go on, man, everything just fall apart, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless, like, as you get bigger and you play for different artists, it's like you got your own sound guy, and it's like you prevent all that stuff. But yeah, it's annoying for sure, like not having everything ready to go.
Yeah, man, those logistics, bro, they can make or break a great performance after you've practiced, after you've done your due diligence on the song and you're gonna kill it. The worst thing is like the sound's not good. It's the worst thing, right? So
Yeah.
going into or staying into about getting the people there, man. So um what do you use to record your content for social media, and then how important is that with staying consistent with posting, even with like no open gigs or whatever, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because you're recording at home. So what's the point of posting?
So man, social media changed a lot of lives. It changed everybody's life.
Mhm.
So you got the drummers, man, the OGs, the Calvins, all the people I listed already. You got the people before them and the people before them. So when you think in terms of how can I, be accepting of this new platform to promote myself, when like before, word of mouth and like who I knew was like how people, like how I got gigs. It's like, how can I incorporate that? Like for me, I've always been techie. I'm a tech person. So I've always embraced it. A lot of guys, may not embrace it. They may not be as savvy. They still got the clout, because that's still important. That's still one of the major factors when it talks about, when you talk about making an impact and people and your reputation, preceding itself. But when you're like a small fish, in a big pond, with a bunch of musicians, growing up in Nashville, like you gotta, for me, I always wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to, just because this particular guy, play with this particular musician that plays with an artist, like a Fred Hammond or CC Winers or somebody like that. I'm not gonna hang around them just because those are the type of gigs and stuff that they get, because like that's not like I want to get it by myself. Like I always like that was kind of like, man, I want to just get this. Like, and even with Calvin, man, like my relationship with him and other, drummers and stuff, like I never asked them guys for anything. Like I was like, I never been like, hey man, can you, man, slide my info to, Yamaha or Sabian? Like, it was like, man, I want to have a mutual like friendship. Like, if anything, I can get advice and stuff from you. But, in terms of, using that as a way to, get myself to the next level, I never did that. So, with social media, something I embrace even from the MySpace stage. What I used to do was I had a MySpace generator that I used to use, because MySpace had all the little tricks and stuff you could do. If you go to my profile, I had the background music and like, man, my stuff was crazy, like, because that's what I really like to do. But they had a generator where you could send out massive like emails and friend requests at the same time. So, man, I would message everybody, man. Jay Moss, Vashawn Mitchell, Jonathan Nelson. Of course, these people weren't responding, but I was just, I was sending out a mass email, and my thought process was, okay, if one person responded, if two people respond, like this could be an opportunity that can change the path that I'm going on. So that's how you kind of got to look at it. But that was kind of the ground stage. I mean, then once, like, as far as like my Instagram and everything taking off, when it did, that was still having those old behaviors and stuff that I picked up at an early age. And then at that point, once my Instagram started to pop, like my circle, like people that knew me around town, it was like, okay, I got this content. Like I posted a picture of me in the studio. Like I recorded in Quad Studios or whatever in Nashville. And I posted a picture on Facebook, but at the time I only had like, 50 friends and everybody went to high school with me. Like that's like where my audience starts and ends, versus once I created that platform, I post that same picture from 3 years ago and I get a ton of likes and stuff. Like, so that's kind of what it was. Like once I built that audience up, I had the content, and that content is what keeps the audience when you have it. So knowing that, that kind of, that gives you like, okay, this is what I got to do. And I think now, like, and we'll touch on it later, but now I feel like, if I would say, oh man, I want to go out and get a Lord of the Rings video and I'm gonna post it on my IG, I can post that video on IG and guess how many views it's gonna get? Not many, because at a certain point you have to, there's certain things you have to do. You got to be a little more savvy in certain areas if you want to reach a bigger audience. And it's not just about even like the quality is important, like it's
Right.
like, but if you don't have the audience and you don't have a game plan, it don't matter how good the quality is. And again, it's going to be back to the clinic, 3,000 versus 400. So, coming in as far as the price and everything. But, it's definitely, it's definitely important to post on social media and stuff. People get gigs or whatever. I never really got like a gig as a result of my Instagram. If anything, I lost gigs because the blessing, the curse about having a big IG following is really like when you start working with an artist and you got like more followers and more like interaction, and it's just like kind of like one of those things. Like if I was more mature enough to handle it, I could, not that would not be an issue. Like they wouldn't even know I had an Instagram kind of thing. But at the time, man, I was so like full of myself. I was like, man, like I was playing with this one artist, man. I ain't gonna name drop. I'm not gonna name drop. But I was playing with this one artist, big artist, man. She had we ended up doing a TV show or whatever. It was a country network TV show that we did, and throughout the whole gig, man, I would just be like, oh man, look at my IG, man. Look, I just posted this and look how many likes it. Like I was like on some real immature type, stuff. And man, when stuff started to drop off and she had a gig, even though I jumped in her inbox, I was like, yo, like, remember me? She was like, she's like, yeah, I keep you in mind. Next thing I know, I see a post or a video of some other drummer. So I'm like, man, they didn't really, stick out for me, you know, because of what I did. It's kind of my fault as a result of that. So it's a blessing and a curse, man. You just got to be like, stay humble, definitely like, be aware of your surroundings, who you're talking to, and not like try to like, because that's a big deal to some artists, man. A lot of these artists, man, even though they might not be signed or be on a major, like they got an ego too. And they don't want to see no drummer or bass player or guitar player, keyboard player coming in that's thinking they bigger than everybody. That really send that wrong vibe. You know what I'm saying? Especially like to do your job as a musician, like you gotta humble yourself to the artist because at the end of the day, even as a music director, they're gonna be calling the shots and you'll be okay. Like, and I'm sure we're like Rex, Calvin, all them guys, like, you talk about, Rex, he working with Mary J. Blige. So imagine what type of critique, she may have that he might not agree with. Um, but it's still like, okay, like it's about the artist. So that's kind of what it is, man.
Bro, that's what's up, man. I appreciate that, man. That is what's up. Um, so going back a little bit to what you were saying about how Calvin, how you never asked Calvin for anything. You were like, man, I don't send my name in the, Sabian or Yamaha, man. Do any companies endorse you as of this moment?
No, no, no. During the time when I was kind of like, man, I could post a picture and get like 2,000-3,000 likes, and I was posting videos that was going viral and stuff like that. I had a few companies, man. So Drum Tax, they do like the moon gel type stuff.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? Big Fat Snare Drum. It was like
Yeah.
that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a few other people, man. They hit me up, and at the time I was like, yeah, it ain't, what Kanye say, it ain't Ralph though.
Right.
So, but no, so it was like, not being smart about the situation, that would have been a good look for both, the company and myself to go in that direction. But at the time I was digging for gold. So um the thing about digging for gold, when it comes to, endorsements and stuff like that, is if you look at some of the guys that you look up to, you look at, Aaron Spears, Spanky, Dave Welker, whoever you into, like those guys are already created. Like you're influenced by those guys. But when you look at it from a business model, like, me emailing DW or whatever, like what am I bringing to the table as far as that's concerned? And what am I getting back? And when you think about that, I mean, nowadays, like endorsements and stuff, man, forget about it. Like if you think you're gonna get an endorsement and get free drums, it's just not gonna happen. Like, I got a buddy of mine, man. He just got endorsed by Fender, and man, he told me it was funny when it happened, man. He was like, "Yeah, man, it's my new bass. I just got it from Fender." Like the way he got it, like what he had to go through was crazy. He was like, "Yeah, I sent I sent an email." He was opening up for this country, like big country artists, man. They was doing like, amphitheaters, man. They was doing all kind of crazy, like, good gigs and stuff, like with a lot of people. Um, but he was like, yeah, I sent out the email and, it kind of went unresponded. And then finally I met somebody's cousin, uncle that knew the guy that was, in charge of that. And once word got that was going unresponded, next thing you know, by coincidence, I heard back from the rep. But that's kind of how it is, man. Like, from the time that I started, doing casinos, from the time that I started, playing in bands and headlining for like, Yin Yang Twins, 3 6 Mafia, like stuff like that. Like, you know, my email was still going to a dead inbox, at the same time, because at the end of the day, it's like, who in that situation, and then how much you also getting back. So, like for me, once I realized that, I think Soul Tone, that was like back in the day, but with Soul Tone, they got back to me. Like when that happened, when that whole wave was going, and I was looking at the email, and I'm like, man, like they offered me an endorsement, man, but I still got to buy all these damn symbols. So I was like, yo, like, I was like, yeah, I get I get 20% or whatever, but it's like, man, I still gotta, I still gotta go in the piggy bank and get this stuff. And like my friend, man, he was, good thing for him. He was in a position where when they was like, all right, yeah, like you on Fender, man, you can buy any bass, man, you get 20% off, whatever. Like he was in a position where he could drop that, you know, I don't want to say the price, man, but like he could drop that amount of money to get that base, and then you can throw up a post like, "Hey, I'm endorsed" or whatever, which is cool. Um, but I think one of the most important things, again, about being endorsed is having the support. And for me, um, there's been various positions I've been in where I'm like, okay, now that big time gig come knocking, or you got an opening slot, it's a artist that's not signed, so it's like you need a kit that's gonna look good in an amphitheater. You need a kit that's gonna be able to you know and if you know just using your traveling kit, the kit that you share with and all that stuff, that's not gonna cut it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have a relationship, or they got to have a business handled, or you got to like now it's a whole nother thing. It's business. So having an endorsement, and having that support, is two different things as well, especially when you look at, you know, Soul Tone. And then also what I realized last thing was that um I I knew somebody that one of my friends worked at Guitar Center. He's like, yo, man, anything you need to buy, man, let me know. I know somebody working Guitar Center will hook you up. Man, I got the biggest deal of my life. Like I went in, I bought a whole bunch of cymbals, got everything. Like, and I was like, yo, like why would I really, like, I'm getting a better discount in the store with somebody that works there than I would with a company per se. So what is it really about? Now granted, it helps with profile. Like you need that for branding, like you need the endorsement, like you need that, like really helps boost your profile. But in terms of what it brings back, I will be honest with you, it's only a select few of guys that's got everything like on lock and getting free stuff. Like I did have a friend, when I started playing for this band, Slow Motion Centerfold. I had a friend named Miles McPherson. He played for Kelly Clarkson. He had all of Yamaha. He had everything. He had stand-up drum kits. He had 2 3 different, drum sets. He had stuff in lockup that he wasn't even playing. So you do have that, but we talking Beyonce level, and that's only there for those select, group of females, men, whatever. Like that's once you get to that level, but everybody else is kind of like, yeah, man, you play your part. Like, yeah, it'd be nice to get an endorsement, throw it up on the IG, get some likes, throw it up on the Facebook, get some likes, but what am I really getting back at the end of the day?
Hey, bro, that is what's up because I think that's a untapped conversation. You know what I'm saying? To have that there's even though you're in like the pool, there's still like a pool within the pool. You know that are actually getting, you know what I'm saying? All of the rewards that we're trying to achieve in this journey as musicians. And, we all want endorsements, but sometimes you get what you want, it ain't really what you want. So, with that being said, bro, what's the biggest gig you've ever played?
All right, so you're gonna have to pull up the screen, where you can share your screen. All right, so let's see what we got. Man, there's a few, man. That was a good gig. So if you go back one, this gig was that was in Nashville, man. That was a Rice of Spring festival that they do at Vanderbilt. They used to bring in like big artists and stuff like that. Um, I was performing with an artist named Stick Izza Hip Hop. I definitely was doing a lot of hip hop and stuff at that time. And this was actually the first project that I was a music director of. So with that, I would learn a lot because you would think like when everybody found out that Calvin was not only the replacement drummer for Marvin McQuitty, he was also the music director. So it's just like, man, like that was really one of, I'm not saying that was the first time that happened, but that was one of the first times people really thought about a drummer being a music director. Um, and then it kind of just, grew from there. But in this situation, I mean, I would find out like being a music director in a lot of situations really just organizing rehearsals and like, making sure everybody's schedule and stuff. It's a lot of dirty work, not dirty, but a lot of like kind of work like that where you got to make sure everybody in one place. You kind of share that headache where you take on everything, like any obstacle, everything, plus the music. Yeah. But man, this show turned out really well. I should probably post some content and stuff from it, but man, that was one of my favorite shows. And then if you want to close that, um, that was opening for Two Chains, man. Two Chains was on that bill too, so that was cool. So it'll be later on. Let's pick. No, that's studio. Try pick four. Try pick four. See what that is. Okay, yeah. So that was Slow Motion Centerfold. That was a band that I played with in Nashville. That show was actually sold out. So if you go to the very next picture, pick five. Yeah, so that was a sold out show that we did in Nashville, man. The venue was called 12th and Porter. And man, like it was one of those venues, man. So you play a venue, you see like when it's not packed versus when it is packed. And some venues, a lot of venues, man, once it's like packed, you can kind of see like the vibe is totally different than it is when it's like nobody in there, obviously. But man, this was one of my best. That was definitely one of my best shows. And if you go to it's another pick in here. Uh, so if you go like the most recent stuff, like towards the like if you go to pick 13, no, is it pick 13? No, not that one. 14. What's 14? No, not that one. That was a good record, but no, not that one. Is it 10? Okay, perfect. All right. So Lily Winwood, man, that was one of the gigs that I did before I actually moved from Nashville. That and then the very next picture, if you go to the very next picture, pick 11, um, that's that's one of my favorite gigs, biggest gigs. Lily Winwood, so she's the daughter of Steve Winwood. So man, he did like Higher Love. Like he's like if you Google Steve Winwood, man, he got so many hits. That's his daughter. Um, she ended up getting on the tour like kind of last minute or whatever. So we ended up doing like 6-7 dates. But like all 6-7 dates were amphitheaters and like that was a Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. So that was like one of the biggest gigs and opportunities I got. The music, granted, I wasn't it wasn't super crazy as far as like the instrumentation, but it was what was called for the song. One of the biggest gigs I've played for sure. I also did. If you go to, I don't know if I put it in. What's 12? Let's see. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite. I say top five because there's a lot of them, but this was Hard Rock Orlando. So this was down in Florida, um, the Hard Rock. Like they got a big arena, man. If you go backstage, man, you see all the people that's played there, like Tony Braxton, um, Diddy. I think they had what's his name with the hair? I can't think of his name. Not Uzi Vert, but the other guy. Man, they had everybody, like all those celebs and stuff, play there. So to be able to open that show at the Hard Rock in Orlando, man, that was definitely one of the biggest gigs that I ever played. And what was also cool was the hospitality, man. Like everybody, like the staff, everybody that worked there was so cool, man. Like that was the vibe, like for sure. But but yeah, to keep it short, even though I kept it long.
You good, man. Like I said, this is about you, my brother. I appreciate that, man. We're about to wrap up. We got like three, four more questions, man. I appreciate everybody that was here earlier. I appreciate everybody that's here right now. Hit J William Drums up. That's his cash app. J William Drums. Hit the cash app up, man. We're out here working. Mine is BLKCLL45 with the cash tag, and that's Venmo. Same thing. Just put the @ sign. PayPal.me/Michael F. You can see it in the Zoom thing on how to spell it. And just real quick, I'm gonna be coming again on the 10th. Not the 10th. Today's the 10th. I'm coming on Sunday with DC Crypto Asshole. We're gonna be talking about Bitcoin. So you guys stick around for that because if you guys remember, that was the first person that I actually interviewed on CrestedWIZ, and so now he's gonna be back. He's gonna be my first returning guest. We're gonna be talking about Bitcoin and Forex. It's gonna be in my Forex and Finesse series. So y'all be on the lookout for that, man. Make sure y'all go ahead. Y'all know what to do. Y'all already know what to do, man. So with that being said, bro, what was the place you had like the most fun traveling as a musician? When you first told me that you were from Nashville, Nashville for me was I have fun every time I go to Nashville. There, like it's my first time because when my first time I went there, it was with Jackson Moore in a group called Soul Vibes, and we were kind of like a jam band or whatever, right? So the first time that I went to rehearsal there, we went inside like of a mansion that had a roof that you could just stand on and look at the stars. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy. So we took a break on the roof. You know what I'm saying? And we were just chilling. I made a phone call to some people, man. A whole lot of people from Huntsville that I know, like Samuel Alexandria shouts out, Tommy G
Wow.
shouts out. You know what I'm saying? We got something coming on the 12th.
Nice.
So she loving the video from at Maple House Sessions. Go follow them on YouTube and Instagram, bro. We already got one visual up. We got the second one coming. It was the intro. You know what I'm saying? Tommy G in the shift. Tap in. And yeah, man. The other place I had the most fun at recently was the Masquerade in Atlanta, man. I went with Tommy G. Shouts out again, Jay Grin. That was the show we did together, man. And it was crazy because a little bit of backline story. They didn't. They forgot the backline. Whoever was supposed to do it or whatever. And the only thing I had was just my DTX pad, my cymbals, and the kickstand. You know what I'm saying? And so we just rocked that out with my DTX pad. You know what I'm saying? And but it was crazy, just the vibes and just me being in Atlanta there as a musician at that age. I was like, bruh, like I tell everybody, man, every time, bro, I could visit there every day. Couldn't live there though. But yeah, man. So, what was your favorite place to travel as a
Man, it was tough, man. It was New York, is definitely kind of on the top of the list. Just because of the vibes, man. Like I only played one sold out show in New York, and that was crazy. But even the other times, it was just like being in that mix, being from the South and being in that mix, like before sound check, let me grab a bite to eat real quick. Like it's not like you got to still go through like a group of people and like so your whole mindset kind of changes because it's like so many people around and you focus on doing this one thing, but you got to stay focused on doing that one thing. So New York was always like one of the places that brought out, the best of me. And I was like, I always felt like somebody was watching. So that was cool. Down in Florida, man, Hangout Music Festival, man. I actually like I had an artist pass. We didn't like have the times that I went, we didn't have like a legit spot. But you can compare Hangout Music Festival to like a Bonnaroo Festival, because like the headliners was like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stevie Wonder, Dave Matthews Band, and if you had an artist pass, you could get backstage. Now I would find out there's different levels to artist passes. So you can have an artist pass that when like who I mean Yellow Wolf. I met like some famous some people that were doing their thing. But when like Dave Matthews, Stevie Wonder, and all that, like you had to have a different pass if you wanted to be down backstage. you had to like the pass that you had wouldn't suffice. So what they would do, like when Stevie Wonder came out and performed, they would basically before he came out, they would clear the whole backstage. They were like, all right, everybody that's in the VIP, like, you know, Stevie about to come through. He got us, you know, whatever. Like, y'all gotta get up out of here and, you know, perform. Like, I remember, man, like, I was like, man, it was funny, man, because Stevie, man, killed it, man. Stanley Randolph, man, like one of
Oh
the
yeah.
best,
Oh my God.
one of the best drummers out there, man. What's crazy is that, like, man, it kind of reminds me of Church a little bit, but obviously on a much more professional level. But like Stevie, man, he got, man, how many songs does he have, man? He got like 150, you know, probably more than that. And his band, man, was with him every step of the way. Like Stanley was, man, laying that thing down. The keyboardist, man, they had a full like horn section. Everything was crazy, and they were just whipping through that music like it was nothing. Like they've been playing it all their life.
I bet, man.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, bro. So that's what's up, man. New York, New York, bro. And I
but
have not been to New York yet. At last, yeah, at all. The closest I've been to New York was New Jersey.
yeah,
But
man,
yeah,
it's different, man. Let me tell you real quick about the best part of that story. So
yes, sir.
the best part of that story is that after like the first 2-3 songs, I was like, man, this is amazing. And I actually like skipped some people and like a lot of the Caucasians that was there, man, they was kind of mad. And I'm like, man, I'm black, man. I deserve to see Stevie a little more than you
Exactly,
do.
bro.
So, but they was like, man, why you standing in front of me, man? What you skipping me for, man? Like, what? Like, we was standing here first. I was like, whatever, I'm black. Like, come on, man. Like, I deserve it. But what I did was during the show, I was like, man, you know what? I got this artist pass, so let me see if I can get backstage. So what I ended up doing was I was able to get backstage because the people that they hired to do security, aside from like his personal bodyguard, those are people that they like live in town and like, you know, they put up a Craigslist ad or something. And, you know, so they like, if you got a badge, you can get through. So I was able to get through back to the backstage. Me and my boy Justin, that I was recording music with, we get to the backstage of Stevie Wonder. So with the artist pass, like they had catered food and stuff like that. But for Stevie Wonder, man, we going from, you know, sandwiches to lobster. Like they got
Right.
lobster and all that. Like, man, they got what's this, the last supper, man? So we ended up going to the back, and man, it's a whole, man, they got a whole feast, man. I'm looking for Judas, man. I'm like, man, this is a spread. So, you know, we go back there and we just chilling, hanging out. Like we got past security or whatever. Like after the show, they start coming back. Once they start coming back, the people that, like his actual security, they're like, man, who are these guys? And they recognized my partner first. Like they went to him first. I don't know if it's because he's Caucasian or whatever. They went to me second, but they just like, yo, like you can't be back here. Like let's roll. So we ended up getting kicked out. So of course I didn't meet Stevie, but the way we was getting kicked out was the way the musicians was coming in. So you know I met Stanley Randolph, and I should have sent you the picture, but shirt off, like everything, like you know I met Stanley Randolph. I met the percussion player. I met one of the background singers. So it was like, man, crazy like to meet those guys after the show, like because you know very few people got a chance to do that. So that was cool.
Most definitely, man. Because I feel like when stuff like that happens, it just to me that's like a confirmation to confirm, like, yeah, you right where you need to be. You keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? Stay on have some type of moral compass that you stand on, and somebody will feel the same type of inspiration when they meet you. Yeah, you know
Thanks.
what I'm saying? So that's what's up, man. So I was looking through in my research prior to the interview, man. I was went through your Instagram, man, and I saw on April 19th of 2015 you asked the people for like 100 emails. Like, why did you need that? Was that like a marketing scheme, or you just needed stuff that like, hey, I got a sample pack for y'all or something like that? What was that?
Yeah, it was definitely like a kind of a project in the works. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, like 2015 was kind of like that was when like I'm telling you, man, I got videos, man. If you scroll through my page, man, some of the videos got like 500,000 views or whatever. And then during that time, I actually collaborated with a YouTuber, man, named Casey Cooper. If you Google the YouTube, and you pull it up, like, man, that video got like 1-2 million views or whatever. But that's a
Wow.
discussion kind of for another day, because again, it's back to the how much did I put in financially versus what I got back.
Exactly.
Now I did get back the notoriety. It did boost my following a little bit. It boosted my subscribers. I think I got like 1,000 new subscribers as a result of that video. But I also paid $1,000 to
Right.
get the studio, bring him in. He was actually endorsed, so he didn't have to pay for nothing, and he was using the studio time I was paying for free. And the video people was his that I reached out to, because I was always the type, like, I always try to, like, okay, like if I'm watching what's his name, Matt Garska, or somebody like from Drumeo, somebody like big, like, watching them, I'm like, okay, like they put out this video, it's not by Mino, it's not by the Symbol Company or whatever. Who's shooting the video? And I would try to reach out to that person. That way, when I get ready to shoot a video, I can be like, hey man, this is what I'm doing. Like, would you want to invest? I can pay you, but it's still an investment. So it's like you meet both ways, like, because it's hard. It's very hard nowadays to get people to work for free. You know what I'm saying? It's not just not gonna happen. But if you can get somebody to say, hey man, it's my Instagram, I play drums, like this is like the direction I'm going in. If they like the vision, they'll do it at a slightly discounted rate. And that's how you get guys that's at Lord of the Rings caliber, guys that's really like, and you can get that video, you're gonna have to pay for it, but it's not gonna be at the same rate as somebody that's got money, obviously. So with those emails, like, because of like my trajectory and where it was going, like, of course, like, I was cocky in a lot of ways, but like, oh man, this is easy, like I'm good, like I put out anything, it's gonna get traction. um One of those few times I tried to think big picture. I was like, okay, I want to do a record, so this is what I want to do. I want to gather an email list, because if you look at Shed Tracks, I know you heard of Shed Tracks. um every day, every other day, every week, I'm getting an email from Shed Tracks, and they got it set up where, they constantly promoting their product,
Right.
and the best way to do that is via email. You know what I'm saying? Even though people might not check it, like, history has shown, like, if you want to make money on the internet, you got to have an email list. You got to have a source. Now, IG, now my IG is like, I got 35,000 followers. The most I had like 45,000. And then with the new algorithm, I lost 5,000. Then I lost 10,000. Now I lost more. And now, the last time, like, because during the day when I was climbing, I used to do all the research on like all right, the best times to post and all that kind of stuff. But what ended up happening was, because I took such a long break, the algorithm changed from under my feet. I wasn't aware of how many ghost followers I actually had until I ran the analytics recently. When I'm telling you, man, when I ran them analytics, man, I wanted to, dude, I wanted to shut down everything. I was like, dude, like, there's no way I got 35,000 followers and 34,000 are ghost followers. Like,
Right.
when I tell you that pissed me off, I was like, yo, like, what the hell is going on? But it's IG, it's technology. So like, you used to could use a third party app to clean up unfollowers. And what I was doing, like, one of the tactics that I would use is, like, if you follow people, like, I don't know if I followed you or how we got connected, but it's like you make great connections, but to the masses, like, depending on who you going for, who market you trying to tap into. And I used to do it, and this is kind of gold, but what I used to do is that, like, Eric Moore, for an example, his IG is crazy. Who else got a crazy IG? Like, a lot of drummers out there, like, their IG is lit, like, 100,000, 200,000. What you used to could do is you could be like, okay, this post got 5,000 likes from Eric Moore. Let me see who liked it, and let me go follow the people that like this stuff, because they like Eric Moore. Maybe they'll like my stuff because I got decent content. So that's what I used to do. I should go in and try to do that. Now, obviously everybody's famous. So if you try to mass follow a bunch of people, aside from getting your, account banned, like, you know, those people probably not gonna follow you back. And then if they don't follow you back and you've done it so many times, then you just pile up, a bunch of dead followers and dead weight. And the only way to get rid of it is from within the app, which it used to be like that. You could use a third party app. You could do up to like 100, 200.
and then you would have to pause kind of thing. But now it's like everything is within the app. So you got to manually delete all these followers, or you could pay somebody to do it. But so that's kind of what I'm gonna have to do. But yeah, man, that as far as like the emails and all that kind of stuff, yeah, that was when everything was organic before the algorithm. When I had actual people, in my messages consistently, comments and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was like on that post, like man, it's great engagement. So even if you look in terms of endorsement and stuff like that, like I definitely should have been, promoting somebody product for free without paying for it because I had the audience built in. But, I don't blame the company. I blame more so myself for not being more persistent like I was when I didn't have the following. Like when I didn't have the following, I was just starting out. I was just trying to play like I was hitting everybody up. But once I got a little bit of that, notoriety, a little bit of, engagement, it was like, well, I'm good. Like it's
Right.
easy. But you got to keep that hunger.
Right, exactly, man, exactly, man. And I think what I've gotten through you through this whole thing, man, is just like like a rise and fall, and it comes through humility or haughtiness, man. And I think that's something that because here I know none of y'all see that raw thing right here, man. I try to keep it authentic, man. I try to keep it, what I'm saying, all the way funky, bro. And like that's some stuff that we need to talk about. And finding out who you are, comes with it, realizing like, dude, okay, is this something that you feel like that you can do at all, or again, if you have achieved that, what I'm saying, because dopamine is real when it comes to these social media sites, man. This
Mhm.
this digital algorithm produces physical emotions within us,
Absolutely.
bro. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people need to understand that and learn how to work through that. And I'm gonna have somebody on here that's an OG around Huntsville that was doing what we want to do before this became like a necessity or essential. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna have him on talking about, what I'm saying, how that mindset has created a gap between um, just not the generation of drummers now and then, but just our people now and then. You know what I'm saying? Because if we can bridge that gap and see where we both went wrong, bro, we can both then move forward together. I believe more prosperously, man. So we getting down to the last two questions, man. I appreciate y'all again here. We still got 5 people up here, man. I appreciate y'all. This is gonna be up for replay. This is probably gonna be my second installment in my podcast series. So y'all follow me for when I drop those links and stuff, man. I appreciate y'all, man. So second to last question. So I remember when I was first following you, you were posting a lot about the different work ventures you were in, and then you were posting a lot about working out, man. So now you just been on it like heavy, man. Um, so what would you say to drummers or anyone who's on the fence about working out? What would you tell them to get started, and how has that helped you in any way being a drummer?
Man, working out, man, that's a whole different like lane or whatever. I was always like a athlete. Like I played basketball in high school, college, or whatever. And it's funny because I wasn't even working out in high school or college, and it's probably why I didn't make it to the next level. Um, but I would say you gotta like it takes a while, like because so I would say 2009, 2010, like when I decided to come off the road and I wanted to be a better musician, and that's what I was willing to sacrifice guaranteed money to go back to practice. It was just like, man, okay. Then I started going to the gym and working out. But mentally, in my head, I would expect, okay, if I lift weights and do this, like when I get back on the drum set, everything should be easier because I'm a little stronger and all that. But if I was to go back to like my references and like videos and stuff that I was watching, like when I was building up my vocabulary, those guys like Dave Weckl, man, used to always say, man, like you don't want to be taking the athletic approach to drumming. Like it's not an athletic, it's not a like because when you look at it, man, you got skinny drummers, big drummers, small drummers, like, and that has nothing to do with physical because when it becomes physical, of course, it always going to at some point it's going to become physical. Depending on the scenario. Especially like I noticed when I play gigs in the winter time, it would take me longer to like warm up and like do stuff like that. Versus in the summer, you can just plug and play. But like with working out, like when I first started, like my mindset wasn't there, like where I expected some kind of advantage playing drums because I worked out, because that's not the case. Like, because that really, like, if anything, working out is staying in shape. Like, you're in shape, you're on the road. It's different health benefits of that, because when you're on the road, you're on tour, like you gas station, people houses, arenas, like, and this is pre-COVID, so even then it's just like, man, you gotta, you getting bad, you eating bad food, you surrounded by bad food, even in situations where it was catering. Eventually, you get tired of that food, so you like, man, like I just like, man, I want to go home. That's kind of how you feel, like if you're not like mentally prepared and if you're not physically prepared, you're gonna be like, okay, like, so like working out for me, like, definitely, like, even if it's placebo, it's still like that sense of confidence. Like, all right, I had gigs where, we had to load in, set up everything, mics and everything. And then I had gigs where I can just show up and play, so you got two different gigs, two different situations. Obviously, it's a lot easier to be, you know, lazy when you just showing up, you got a drum tech, you like everything's ready to go, versus when you gotta haul up gear, three flights of steps, and then you got to play the show of your life, and then you got to break down the show of your life. So it's rough, man. And this, I've been blessed. I do have asthma, so like I've been in some situations where it was just like, man, I really was pushing the line with like not like dying and passing out, trying to pack up my stuff and get up out of there. But at the same time, like now it's like, now that I work out and now like that I test my cardio, now I can be in a lot more control of different situations. And it's important, like not just for physical fit, because it's not really gonna give you any advantages. Like if you look at Chris Coleman, like he got some naturally big forearms or whatever. He's faster than a lot of people, but it has nothing to do with him lifting dumbbells. Because you could take Chris Coleman and then Ramon Sampson. I don't know if you remember him, man. Ramon Sampson from back in the day. Dude, I saw him play at the drum off. This dude, I don't even know if he's 5 foot, man.
Right.
Skinny, man. This dude got some power, man. I don't know where the hell he got it from. Yo, I was like, man, what's up with this dude foot? Like, I was like, I cannot understand how he's hitting the kick drum that hard. Like, and then Tony Taylor, he's another cat.
Yeah.
That's like small. Sean Wright ain't that big, man. Like,
Yeah, and smacking.
yeah, a lot of these cats ain't like, big physical guys. Of course, you got Eric that's like, and Aaron Spears, and they show you too, like,
Right.
you don't got to be skinny, and like, you can, like, Aaron Spears be doing all that kind of like
Yeah.
going crazy, like, so size really don't matter, man. Like, that has nothing to do with it, but health has everything to do with, being consistent, staying on the road, not getting sick, because just because, you can eat whatever, and then, man, you don't want to be sick on the road because you're not at home, you're on the road, you got to play another show, you ain't going home no time soon. Or if you do go home, it's a 18-19 hour drive or whatever, you're on a bus, like, it's just not gonna happen. You're gonna have to fight through that, that sickness. And is that something you really want to do on the road and you're not eating right?
Exactly, bro. Yeah, and that goes to like mental, man. Yeah, because it'll really like mess you up because you'll feel groggy after eating all that good quote unquote food. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man,
But
you
yeah,
end up.
go
Yeah, I was
ahead,
gonna
man.
say. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you end up like, man, you go to like Arby's or something, man, and you go cheap, and you like 30 minutes into the drive. That's like 16 hours, and you talking about you got to pull over, and the rest stop ain't for 3 miles, and you got to hold in the bubble guts, man. That ain't fun, man.
Not good at all, bro. Not good at all, man. So yeah, bro, Jules, man, I appreciate that because yeah, it definitely right. It I guess more so working out would just I guess give you more control as a drummer. You know what I'm saying, and not just more power physically per se. You know what I'm saying. So we wrapping up. I appreciate you, bro. So what's next for Jay Williams, my brother?
All right, so what's next, man? First thing, I already mentioned it with my IG, man. I got to clean up them followers, man. I got a lot of ghost followers, so I got to go through, There's a way you can do it. It just, I mean, it's time consuming. So it's like something like a part of like getting better every day, like that grind and that hunger. Like, okay, like it's gonna be a pain in the ass. It's gonna be tedious because I got to do it from within the app, and I got to match everything up. Like, who got a profile picture, who don't, like who's an actual. Because with the algorithm, the way it works, it's all advertisement. So if you go on and you like a picture, you know what I'm saying, Instagram is gonna show you what you like. So the thing that kind of sucked for me is that I thought, okay, I got 35, whatever, thousand followers. So all 35,000 followers are gonna see that post. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. Like, I'm not even, like, my posts are not even making it out to everybody that follow me, because if they're ghost follower, they haven't liked anything or commented on anything for a while. So why would Instagram show them something that they're not interested in? So for me, the next thing is first getting that dialed in. Because once I have more of a, because you can see guys, man, there's guys on Instagram that got like, half the amount of followers. I got 10,000, 15,000, and man, their engagement is crazy. Like, they got a nice organic audience, um, because, it's like, you know, got used to algorithm, or the way they promote is a little different. I can be, maybe I'm, old school in my thought process to a certain extent, and I let a lot of time go by without updating everything. So the first step is definitely getting an audience under control, because like I said before, it's not just the content. Because if I just think content and be like, okay, I'm gonna go out and get a video that's $5,000 and put it on IG, like, I'm not gonna be happy with the results because I didn't do the groundwork. So after that's done, definitely more videos. Obviously more collaboration. I definitely want to collaborate with more artists, do more homes. I want to set up, do more lessons, and really, because it's about really making money without leaving your house and without, really putting in that 40-hour grind, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is what's it, the man. Hey, that is like that's what it is for me, bro. That's exactly what it is for me, bro. Cause yeah, man. Oh my man, great answer, man. I appreciate you, man. And bro, this has been CrestedWIZ. J William Drums. Go follow him when this video processes. I'm gonna have everything in the description box, man. Go check out while you're waiting on that. Go check out my other interviews. I interviewed Aaron Stick Smith, the Aaron Smith Experience. Go watch that. I just did one called Politics with B Harmony. It's more than music. Go see that. And then, like I said, this coming Sunday, I'll give you more information soon. I'm going to be interviewing DC Crypto Asso. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin in my new series, Forex and Finesse. Got some more stuff coming for y'all, man. Y'all give it up for J Williams, bro. Hey, man, I appreciate you again, bro. This CrestedWIZ, Black Collar King, we out.